What drives a person to commit unthinkable crimes? Is it their circumstances, their nature, or a twisted combination of both? These questions echo in the chilling tale of Enriqueta Marti, a Spanish woman whose deeds still send shivers down the spine. Born into abject poverty in the late 19th century, Marti was a product of a society that offered little support to its most vulnerable members. She was raised in an environment where desperation was a constant companion, a place where the line between survival and criminality was blurred. This was a time when the weak were often overlooked, their cries drowned out by the clamor of urban life, an era when superstition held sway, and where a lack of understanding could easily plant the seeds of fear and cruelty. In the shadows of Barcelona, a monster was taking shape, one that would prey on the city's most defenseless. In the early 20th century, Barcelona was gripped by a horror that seemed to spring from its darkest nightmares. As the city hummed with the rhythm of everyday life, a sinister figure lurked in the shadows. This was Enriqueta Marti, a woman who would come to be known as a predator of the most innocent and vulnerable. Marti's reign of terror began subtly, almost imperceptibly. Children, mostly from the city's poorer districts, started to go missing. Their disappearances were initially attributed to the hardships of urban life, the chaos of the streets, or the desperation of poverty. But the reality was far more chilling. Marti was kidnapping these children, pulling them into an underworld of unimaginable horror. She forced the children into prostitution, exploiting their innocence for her own gain. But her depravity didn't end there. Allegedly, Marti took the lives of these young victims, their cries for help forever silenced by her merciless hands. And then, in a macabre twist, she used what remained of them. Marti concocted potions and unguents, using the victims' remains as ingredients. She peddled these products to an unsuspecting public, claiming they held miraculous powers. The city's superstitious and desperate bought them, unknowingly participating in Marti's gruesome trade. Thus the cycle continued. The children of Barcelona were not just disappearing, they were being consumed, their lives extinguished, and their bodies used in a horrific commerce. This was Marti's modus operandi, a methodical and systematic process of exploitation and extermination. The fear was palpable. Parents held their children close, their hearts pounding with dread every time the sun set. The streets, once bustling with youthful energy, grew ominously quiet. The city was under siege, not by an enemy army, but by one of its own. The city lived in fear, as children disappeared, one by one, swallowed by the night. In 1912, the nightmare was given a face, a name, Enriqueta Marti. The terror that had gripped Barcelona had an origin, a grotesque epicenter. Marti was arrested, and the arrest brought a shocking revelation. Her apartment was a macabre tableau, a horrifying testament to her heinous acts. Authorities found remnants of her young victims, bones, blood, and strands of hair, chilling evidence of her monstrous crimes. Yet, justice was not served in the way one might expect. Before a trial could take place, the inmates, repulsed by her crimes, took matters into their own hands. Enriqueta Marti met her end in the very place where she was supposed to face the consequences of her actions. The woman who had preyed on the innocent and vulnerable was no more. The monster was dead, but the horror of her deeds lingered, seeping into the city's consciousness. This was the terrible legacy of Enriqueta Marti, a legacy of fear and grief, never to be forgotten. Enriqueta Marti's tale did not end with her death. It lived on, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the heart of a city. Her gruesome exploits have seeped into the fabric of Spanish urban legends, casting a long shadow over Barcelona's history. Her story, as grim as it is, has become a part of the city's cultural narrative, a stark illustration of the horrors that can emerge from the underbelly of society. Beyond the macabre fascination, Marti's heinous acts ignited fiery debates that continue to this day. Her crimes put a spotlight on the crushing poverty, the rampant superstition, and the heartbreaking vulnerability of children in urban settings. They forced society to confront the harsh realities that allowed such a monster to thrive. And so, her name persists, not as a tribute, but as a warning. Enriqueta Marti, a name that echoes through time, a chilling testament to the monstrous depths humanity can sink to.